After leaving Rob, I told him he could suck Jimmy's dick and declared I was done. Our relationship crumbled under his neglect, shady behavior, and a mysterious pink towel. Now I have to face Jimmy at work. How will I navigate this minefield? I, a 32-year-old female, ended my relationship with my boyfriend, a 38-year-old male, this past Friday evening. I was introduced to him by his best friend who I work with. Let us refer to the best friend as Jimmy and my now ex-boyfriend as Rob. I had worked with Jimmy for a year before he arranged a blind date for me with Rob. When I first met Rob, I was somewhat surprised. He was not the height he had claimed, and overall, he was not the type of guy I normally pursue. However, we connected well. After 3 dates, I found myself quite taken with him, though I was still not entirely certain. I could sense that Rob was quite infatuated. Rob would text me around the clock, sending good morning and good night messages as well as sweet notes in between. He appeared to be a wonderful person. Gradually, I fell in love. I am not typically an enthusiastic texter, so it took me a while to adjust to such frequent messaging. Rob set the standard for our texting dynamic. In summary, during the first 4 months of our relationship, Rob only came to my place and never invited me over to his. I always had to cover all expenses when we went out. We never went out anywhere together unless it was planned by me, and he never offered to contribute financially. I always cooked, gave massages, and took care of things between us. By the 4th month, I became frustrated enough to address it and told him that he needed to take me out on a proper date and that I would be coming to his place this time. After I expressed that, he stopped communicating with me for the rest of the evening. When I arrived for the date, I greeted him as usual, but he seemed extremely distant and barely spoke. During this date, he stared at me in a way that was quite unsettling. He did not even blink. I had to try to ease the tension. After I requested he put in more effort, the dynamic of our relationship shifted entirely. He stopped sending me affectionate texts altogether and began treating me like just a regular friend. I believe I triggered something in him, some sort of I am not enough wound. Then the dynamic with his best friend became clear. He had been best friends with Jimmy for about 12 years and they often worked on each other's cars. We would attend work events together along with Jimmy's wife, almost like a double date, though it was evident that Jimmy's wife did not like me. Nonetheless, my boyfriend explained that he did not actually see his best friend frequently, perhaps 5 times a year, given that Jimmy had a wife and 2 children. When we first started dating, Jimmy was not texting my boyfriend very much. My boyfriend kept his phone notifications on loud and his phone rarely went off. However, after Rob officially asked me out, Jimmy started to inundate Rob's phone with messages. Even Rob noticed the change. The ongoing issue of Rob not contributing financially persisted for months. He invited me on a trip out of state, and I had to cover the costs for the hotel and gas. I chose an inexpensive lodge, and when I suggested we split the expenses, Rob ignored me and ceased communication. I will not delve into his other ongoing lack of effort, but it was clear that if I remained with this man forever, I would have to bear all the emotional and financial responsibilities of the relationship. Then came Rob's birthday. He had always wanted to go to medieval times as a child, but never got the chance. I informed him a month in advance that we were going, along with other surprises, and I planned to take him to another Brazilian steakhouse, a concert, and get him flowers and a cake. Then Jimmy approached me at work to express his excitement about medieval times. I was baffled because my boyfriend had never mentioned that he invited Jimmy. I said I was unaware he was coming. Jimmy revealed that Rob had invited him a month earlier, which Rob had not disclosed. I made it clear that I was already purchasing tickets, so it would have been helpful to know. Jimmy then asked me to buy tickets for him, his wife, their 2 children, and he would reimburse me. I found this frustrating. I had envisioned a sweet date, and while I would have been fine with a double date, I knew Jimmy's children were not well behaved, and the entire evening would now revolve around them. I would have been okay with this had my boyfriend communicated with me about it, but he did not. He let Jimmy inform me instead. When the event day arrived, Jimmy, his wife, and children were the first to sit down in our row. Our row was located right next to the stairs, and I ended up in the very last seat near the stairs where everyone was talking. The 5 of them spent most of the event conversing with each other, and my boyfriend only began to pay attention to me near the midpoint of the event. Then Jimmy's wife posted on Facebook, tagging my boyfriend and her husband, sharing numerous pictures from the event featuring my boyfriend, herself, Jimmy, and their children. There was not a single picture of me in that collage, nor any mention of me or that I organized the event. Then Thanksgiving season approached. I finally took 5 days off of paid time off. My boyfriend's father invited us for Thanksgiving, but my boyfriend declined, stating we would be doing our own thing instead. I proposed that we go to my parents' lake house, which my boyfriend agreed to. Work had been extremely stressful, so I was very excited for this time off with him, especially since we only see each other on Saturdays. I purchased everything for a Thanksgiving dinner, and we were supposed to go to the lake house afterward. Then I received a text on Tuesday morning from Jimmy, a group text directed to me and my boyfriend asking if my boyfriend could join him on an out-of-state trip to pick up a car that weekend. I questioned Jimmy why he was asking me and not Rob, and whether Rob informed him that we had plans to go to the lake house for weeks. I told them to proceed as they wish and to keep me posted. I was angry. My boyfriend came over for Thanksgiving but never mentioned whether he was actually going on that trip. I cried that Thanksgiving, and my boyfriend showed no reaction to my tears. He ended up going on that trip, spoke very little to me throughout it, and I spent the holiday alone because all my friends already had plans. Then his strange behavior concerning his phone began. He started keeping it on silent and in another room while we were together. One day, I visited and noticed a female's pink towel hanging in his bathroom. He claimed it belonged to his mother's old belongings, yet he had not spoken to his mother in over a decade. The towel did not appear old. I also noticed a new toothbrush in his drawer, a rechargeable one. The next time I visited, the toothbrush had been hidden away in a kitchen cabinet. On my last visit, I found a Dove Beauty Bar cucumber scent designed for women in his bathroom drawer. He had not seen me for 4 weeks and did not communicate with me for an entire week. After this, I texted him, stating that I would assume he had moved on. He responded and finally told me he had not, and we reconciled. And then the breaking point occurred yesterday. I was scheduled to take a work-related trip out of state, so I wanted to spend time with him on Friday instead of Saturday. He informed me he had plans for dinner with his best friend but that he would meet up with me at 9 p.m. I asked if he was certain since I did not want to interfere with their plans. He assured me he would meet me at 9 and would keep me informed about when to leave. I live an hour away, so I anticipated a text by 8 p.m. However, between 4 and 9 p.m. I received absolutely no updates. He texted me after 9 p.m. saying he was just then heading home. I replied that I did not care. He responded with haha okay. I then informed him that he should have kept me updated. He became furious, belittled me, told me he had the right to go out to dinner with his friends, that he did not have a curfew, and that he was not obligated to update me. He said some truly awful things. I ended up driving to his house and demanding he delete all naked photos of me. In the heat of the moment, I also said some hurtful things myself. I told him he could perform oral sex on Jimmy and to enjoy being Jimmy's sidekick. Needless to say, I still work with Jimmy. Office life is about to become very awkward for me, and I am uncertain how to handle the situation. Jimmy is quite a gossip and will definitely treat me a certain way following this breakup. I have already reached out to my ex and wished him well. I attempted to call twice, but he did not answer. Therefore, I know it's truly over, although I am fairly confident he was unfaithful to me. However, I am uncertain how to approach my work relationship with Jimmy. I understand he will speak negatively about me. That is simply his nature. To summarize briefly, I had an explosive argument with my boyfriend, resulting in our breakup. I stated some very hurtful things regarding his best friend, and now I work with that best friend. How do I proceed from here? Story 2. After 10 years, I am 30, finally left my manipulative girlfriend, F27, whose constant cheating and name-calling nearly destroyed me. You're just an angry roommate, she'd say. Now I'm reclaiming my happiness, but was I wrong for walking away? Recently, I'm male, 30 years old, ended my relationship with my girlfriend, female, 27 years old, after nearly 10 years together. It was difficult, but I ultimately reached the conclusion that I was feeling depressed because of her. Our relationship was like a roller coaster, and it never truly stopped being one. We moved quickly at the start. She moved in with me within a year. We had our first child in the first 2 years, and then another one a few years later. The unfortunate reality is that I refused to acknowledge the kind of person she really was. She was consistently critical of me, and not in positive ways. She would belittle me, call me names, and make me feel worthless. She cheated on me when our son was 8 months old, and to be honest, I always had a gut feeling that she may have been unfaithful during the early stages of our relationship. I initially assumed it was just my insecurities, stemming from watching my mother experience infidelity multiple times, but even now I am not sure. Her sister lived with us for a few months, and we did not get along. One day, after a heated argument, she revealed that my girlfriend had cheated on me frequently and did not actually like me, but was merely staying with me because she had nowhere else to go. This revelation came shortly after the incident of infidelity I previously mentioned. As the years passed, she exhibited every trait of a narcissist while accusing me of being the narcissist. I later realized that she was projecting her own issues onto me. I know I was not the best boyfriend in the world, but I consistently prioritized her and our children and did my best. It was never sufficient for her. In the last 3 years, we returned to my hometown and had to put the house in her name. While I was driving the moving truck, she called me and became upset about something, immediately threatening to kick me out. About a year later, she followed through with this threat. She placed my belongings outside, and I enlisted a friend to help me gather everything and take it to my father's house. The following night, she called me crying and asking me to return. I made the mistake of going back. Interestingly, about a year later, we experienced the same situation again. This is when the real chaos began. She frequently visited her sister, a different sister with the kids, whom I did not like because she cultivated any negative perceptions my girlfriend had of me due to her animosity towards me. One Friday after work, I went to pick up our children from that sister's house, and to my surprise, their mother was absent. The sister claimed she had gone to the store. This was suspicious because I was driving the only car we owned at the time, and her sister's car was in the driveway. Clearly, this was a poor excuse. I was not surprised they thought their plan would work, believing I was foolish. I asked my kids where their mother had gone, and they said she did not specify, simply stating that she would be back. I then inquired about her clothing when she left, and my children noted she was wearing a dress and heels, which she rarely wore, even for me. At that moment, I suspected something was amiss. A few days prior, we had argued, but that had become normal. I did not communicate with her for a week, and by the following weekend, I received a text from her stating that she was kicking me out again. Once more, I found myself at my father's house, but this time it lasted approximately 2 months. I will skip over all the usual disputes regarding time with the children, finances, etc., and instead mention that within 2 weeks she was with someone else, not just anyone, but a man I suspected she had been involved with during a previous break we had 5 years earlier. It made sense. He had more money, drove a nicer car, essentially all the things she desired. The most shocking part was that she became engaged to him. After a few days of learning this information from my children, which she had instructed them not to disclose to me for some reason, I had a moment of weakness and confronted her. During that conversation, she suggested she could leave him and wanted me to return. The keyword here is could. About a week later, I ended up giving in and going back. This marked the beginning of a new chapter filled with lies and deception. In our discussions, she stated that this new man was controlling, sharing various negative details about him. In essence, she told me anything to divert my attention. She continued to pretend she would end things with him soon but kept pursuing him. At this point, I was becoming unstable. She was staying up late talking to him. I checked her phone records and saw that she was consistently in contact with him, alternating between phone calls with us. All this while, I was supporting her. Oh, and did I mention that I always allowed her to remain at home and never pressured her to find a job throughout our entire relationship. Regardless, she constantly assured me that she was tapering off her communication with him. However, one night when I checked her phone, the messages between them suggested otherwise. After that, I told her to go be with him. She claimed she wanted to be with me and that she wanted to crush him for the things he had done to her, which explained her seemingly casual demeanor while talking to him. She never revealed what he had truly done to her that warranted that response, but I was naive enough to believe her. This situation persisted for about another month. I finally reached my breaking point when I went through her phone once again and discovered that she had never called off her engagement with him, despite her claims. Moreover, the trips she took with her sister were actually trips with him to resorts in Mexico and to his home city. To illustrate further the type of person she is, I had given her my AirPods Pro, and on one of these trips I provided her with money to purchase the second generation because she claimed she could find a better deal in that city. I did this, and when she returned, the box was opened, and she had swapped the new ones with my old ones, assuming I would not notice. I lost my temper, and ultimately she ended things with him. Now you would think I would have left, but I did not. Even though I was experiencing turmoil and needed her to prove her sincerity, she worked her manipulation tactics to make me feel as though I was to blame. Over the next 6 months, she spent almost every night and weekend away, returning in the mornings or by Monday to care for the children while I worked, only to leave shortly after my return home. One weekend, I accessed the family laptop and discovered that when she left that night, she had used the address of the previous man in her maps. I lost my temper again. Over the following months, it became a constant battle of my trust issues, leaving me feeling nothing but anxiety. There were occasions when she told me she intended to travel to Las Vegas with her friends for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I insisted she was lying and either going with the same man or someone else. She would get upset, claiming I had ruined her plans. Nevertheless, she continued to be absent every day. After that 6-month period, she finally settled down and ceased going out. Over the next year, I became a mere shadow of the man I once was. I ultimately ended the relationship for good when I decided to finally see reality and acknowledge that I had been foolish to believe anything she said, realizing I should never have returned. She cried and begged me not to end it, insisting she would do anything to prove her remorse, but I told her it was too late. I was repulsed by her and could never trust her again. She constantly claimed I was never happy and always angry. Yet she never accepted that her actions were the cause of my feelings until it was too late. Now I am on the journey of rediscovering who I am and finding happiness once more. A part of me still feels like the villain for leaving when she wanted to try, but ultimately she violated boundaries throughout our entire relationship, and I recognized that I was only in it for the sake of the children, lying to myself with the hope that things would change. In summary, I left my girlfriend of 10 years because she lied and cheated on me, making me feel worthless. Am I wrong for ending the relationship?